On Sunday, March 16, 2025, the Trump administration deported hundreds of Venezuelans to El Salvador. The move sparked immediate controversy and legal challenges. Critics denounced the deportations as unlawful and inhumane. The administration defended its actions, citing national security concerns. The deportees, accused of gang affiliation, were flown to El Salvador despite a federal judge's order to halt the removals. The case highlights the Trump administration's increasingly aggressive approach to immigration enforcement. This event has also put a spotlight on the plight of Venezuelans seeking refuge in the United States. The deportations mark a significant escalation in the Trump administration's efforts to reshape U.S. immigration policy. The administration has increasingly targeted migrants with criminal records, even those with deep roots in the United States. The administration has also sought to limit asylum claims and make it more difficult for migrants to obtain legal status. The deportations to El Salvador are the latest example of the administration's hardline approach. The deportations have been met with widespread condemnation from human rights groups and immigration advocates. They argue that the Trump administration is violating the rights of asylum seekers and putting vulnerable individuals at risk. The administration's actions have also been criticized by some legal experts who argue that they are unconstitutional and exceed the government's authority. The deportations have also sparked protests and demonstrations across the United States. The deportations to El Salvador are likely to have a significant impact on U.S. immigration policy. The case could set a precedent for the Trump administration's ability to deport migrants to countries where they may face persecution. The deportations could also have a chilling effect on asylum seekers, who may be less likely to come forward for fear of being deported. The deportations are a clear sign of the Trump administration's determination to crack down on illegal immigration, even if it means taking unprecedented measures. The Trump administration's controversial decision to deport hundreds of Venezuelans to El Salvador has ignited a fierce legal battle. At the heart of the dispute is the administration's use of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. This law, enacted during a time of war with France, grants the president broad authority to detain and deport foreign nationals deemed dangerous to the safety of the United States. The administration argues that the law's broad language allows for the deportation of individuals suspected of gang affiliation, even without criminal convictions. However, critics argue that the Alien Enemies Act is an outdated relic of a bygone era, inapplicable to the current situation. They contend that the law was intended for use during times of declared war, not as a tool for mass deportation. Furthermore, they argue that the administration's use of the law violates the due process rights of the deportees who were not given an opportunity to contest their removal in court. The legal challenge to the deportation centers on these key arguments. The case landed before Judge James E. Boasberg of the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. He issued a temporary restraining order halting the deportations. However, the Trump administration defied the court order, arguing that two planes carrying the deportees were already airborne when the order was issued. This act of defiance further inflamed the controversy, raising questions about the administration's respect for the rule of law. The Justice Department has since appealed Judge Boasberg's ruling, setting the stage for a protracted legal battle. The outcome of this legal challenge could have far-reaching implications for U.S. immigration policy. If the Trump administration prevails, it could pave the way for the expanded use of the Alien Enemies Act to target other immigrant groups. This could potentially lead to the deportation of thousands of individuals without due process. Conversely, a victory for the challengers would represent a significant check on the administration's immigration agenda. The courts will now decide the fate of the deported Venezuelans and the future of